I'm Dante. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a performer. I guess my first encounter with racism really happened at a young age. Growing up as African American, it is told that racism is still a thing. I was around 8 years old and I was with dance friends of mine and I was with their family and we went to go visit their grandmother. I was the only Black person around, and especially in that town that I was visiting, wasn't problematic to me. I didn't see it as a problem then. I don't see it as a problem now. But I remember their grandmother being very, very hostile towards me. I didn't really know what was going on. She had no excuse to dislike me. It was just because of the color of my skin. And they decided to apologize for their grandmother and her actions, or their mother decided to apologize for their grandmother. I didn't see it as that as a child, but their mother obviously knew what was going on. But how does one have that conversation with a child, one, and two, a child that's not theirs, and three, a child that is a person of color and they're not? I worked very, very late in the city. There was a situation on the subway where I noticed that the portion of the train that I got on, there was me and another lady that happened to be white, and I got on, I had my headphones in. She ended up moving to the other side of the train, and that's weird. And then so she got off the train, she looked at me and she said, "Please stop following me. I'm not comfortable with you around me. Leave me alone." I didn't say anything to you. She didn't necessarily say, "You make me uncomfortable because you're Black." She didn't have to say that. Racism has grown so much over the years that it doesn't have to be anything that's said. It's turned into an action that's displayed to a person of color based out of hatred. I've experienced the whole like going to a restaurant and I've gotten my check before my food has ever come to the table because they think I'm not going to pay for my food. There have been so many things that add up to times that don't ever happen when I am around a group of friends that are white.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Haynes. I'm a singer. I'm from Barbados. A couple experiences, but in the Caribbean, for me, it's more of a classist issue. It's more of a colorism issue. That is the way that we try to differentiate who holds the power here. And I've had several experiences, definitely in high school for sure, from my own people, just because I'm darker. It is something that probably will happen for the rest of my life, but you have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn to appreciate yourself for who you are and the beauty that's within and the beauty that you have on the outside. There was a time that I was in an elevator, just me, and this lady stopped at her floor and she looked, it was just me, and then she was like, "Oh no." And I was like, "You can come." And she was like, "No, I'm fine." I was like, okay. It messed up my whole day to think that she didn't feel comfortable to stand in that elevator for a couple seconds. Definitely auditioning, I definitely realized that as a person of color, you're put in this box. You have to be sassy, you have to be loud, you have to be aggressive. And I think that we need to kick that box out of the room because we're more than that. After I sang my song, they were like, "Okay, that was nice. Can you sing it more soulful? Like, you're a Black man. Like, give us that Black soul." It almost felt as though they wanted to skew who I was as an artist based on their perception of all Black people. We're not all the same. There are Black people that sing classical music. In terms of the musical theater genre, I definitely believe that there is this stereotype and you're typecasted. And there's a time and place for that, but at the same time, I'm more than that. Really to open my eyes to see what the industry really feels about the people of color. If you look at Broadway, like the shows that hire majority Black people, it's usually because it's dealing with racial injustices. And the company that I work with now, I go to work and I realize that there's usually like maybe two other Black people. So we have a lot of work to do. It comes with forums like this, having the conversation. We need to really wake up.
So I'm Zori. So when I was growing up, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of UDA, the Universal Dance Alliance, but they do like all these little dance competitions all over the country. And I got selected to go to Paris and dance in front of the Eiffel Tower my senior year of high school. I end up going and I'm the only Black girl there. So out of 200 people, I'm the only Black girl. So it really didn't mean much to me at the time. I was like, 16, 17. I'm like, okay. But I walk in the room and I get stares from 199 white people just like looking, and they're almost like they're afraid of me. I don't know, maybe they hadn't seen people that look like me much. It's not like I was late for rehearsal, so it shouldn't have been that awkwardness. People were like, oh, how the heck did she get here? I worked my ass off just like everyone else to get here. So that was a really strange experience. In our industry, being an artist and everything, my hair is natural. It's in braids right now, but it's normally in an afro. And I remember the first show that I booked, the stylist looked at me and was like, so yeah, I don't know how to style your hair. I don't know what to do. I was hoping you'd give me some ideas. Yet he gave all the other girls, they were all white, a picture with pictures and like did like different styles for their hair, but literally told me, and it was one other Black girl, that he didn't know what to do with our hair and that he wasn't even going to try. Sir, aren't you a professional stylist? Like, if you don't know, you could at least YouTube, I don't know, ask a friend. So me and the other girl, we just ended up having to do our own hair. I had this one girl who was like, oh, so you're going to tame your hair tonight? And I was like, excuse me? I guess stretching it out, making it less, afro-y. I'm not an animal here. Like, this is the hair that grows out of my head, the hair that God gave me.
Hi, my name is Charlie Alguera. I never really thought about my skin tone when I was young. I just never really did. I was very lucky that I was already in a very diverse neighborhood. My sister had to go get a bathing suit. We ended up going to a boutique, and I remember we walked in, and it was one of those things where we were being followed. She was really just kind of pushing us towards the door, like my senior year of high school. I went to a big college fair. I went up to the man at the booth and I asked him about if he had any information about the theater program there, and he didn't really acknowledge my presence. I asked him another question and he did not answer me. Like, when I say he did not answer me, I mean he acted like I was not there. And he just looked right past. And the minute that any white student would come up and ask questions, he would just answer them, put a smile on his face, and just interact with them. And I auditioned for a show at the school, and I was very lucky that I was cast in the show. I was one of only 2 people of color that was cast in the show, and I was cast as an alcoholic, and he was cast as a sexual predator. And when that happens, it's kind of in your face that's when you're kind of pigeonholed. Like, looking back on it, you understand that it's discrimination, but it's one of those things where it's going to happen. So the best thing that you can really do is just acknowledge that it's going to happen and work on getting yourself into a better place from there on out.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'm not a person of color, but I get mistaken a lot because of my dark skin and dark hair. I'm Italian and a little bit of German and Native American. My high school and elementary school was very dominantly white. I remember a few would tell me, my skin is too dark, so no one wants to be my friend. They would just make fun of my hair because my hair was a lot shorter. And like, they would tell me to speak Mexican or tell me to go back to my country. These were kids, and this was elementary schools. Looking back, that just is terrifying. That's so young, and they just grow up thinking that's okay. I had all white teachers. My entire school, really disappointing that we're just so, like, the part that I grew up was so sheltered just from everything. And I'm also a yoga instructor, and I noticed that it's so advertised, I guess you could say, as, the thin white woman doing yoga. That just is not okay, because yoga wasn't even created by white people, but I feel like yoga has become so westernized. Only the ideal person can be a practitioner, which is not true at all. I would just like to see a more, diverse yoga community, especially.
Okay, so when Elena was talking, I made a connection. My name is Alice. I am Valerie's daughter. I am in middle school. I go to a school that has younger kids, elementary and middle schools. I have seen a lot of racial discrimination in schools. This is the generation that is growing up racists, and something really needs to change.
Alice, what do you do when you encounter those things at school with their like aggressions? I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but do you have those difficult conversations?
I mean, I always try to call it out. My school it's run by white people, and whenever I try to make a claim like this is not acceptable, racism cannot be tolerated in this school, it's always just pushed to the side. I mean, I always try to do what I can. I mean, this is America.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. We can't just accept it and say this is America because our people are dying. So I know it's
Yeah.
an uncomfortable conversation to have, but please keep having them. I'm literally begging you, please keep saying stuff to your friends, whoever you see. Like, you don't have to be mean to them. I'm not asking you to yell and scream at nobody, but just have the conversation. Let them know it's not right.